And thank you all for being here today. I'm sure over the course of this week, Police Week, you're going to receive a lot of kind words and praise, and it is certainly richly deserved. As U.S. Attorney under President Bush, the opportunity to serve as the top federal law enforcement official in the Eastern District of Texas gave me the opportunity to stand shoulder to shoulder with so many officers and police departments across the 33,000 square miles of that district, and really instilled in me an appreciation that I didn't have before about what your men and women are asked to do every day, the sacrifices that they're asked to make, and the circumstances under which they're asked to make them. And to my mind, every week should be Police Week in this country. But rather than just talking the talk, as legislators, we need to put words into action. We need legislation that does more than just say that we're grateful, that proves that to you. We've had a lot of great comments even on this subcommittee today from members on both sides of the aisle. Two of you specifically mentioned one specific piece of legislation that I introduced last Congress and again this Congress, which is the PLUS Act. Protecting lives using surplus equipment. And it was legislation that became necessary when the prior administration decided to restrict the 1033 program and actually take back some of the equipment that had been transferred to law enforcement agencies under the program through the Department of Defense. I want to yield my time to you all. You've had some opportunity to talk about it, but one of the things and we've had a chance, many of us, to talk before. Mr. Canterbury, working with your folks on this particular issue, I can't tell you how much we appreciate it and how much we look forward to continuing to engage. Chief Acevedo, you and I had a chance to talk about this issue a few months ago at an event. But you know, there's a narrative out there, a false narrative in some folks' mind that this is Barney Fife playing weekend warrior with RPGs, and so there's a misconception about what the equipment involved is and what it really means. And you know, Sheriff McDonald, you right next door to the jurisdiction where the San Bernardino attack happened, so you know, I would really like you to take a few minutes and talk about the fact that this isn't theoretical, and that this particular program, what it really means in terms of saving lives, not just of officers, but of the citizens that they protect. And I'd like to yield to all of you in that respect.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that opportunity. We touched on that briefly. The 1033 program has been very valuable to state and local departments in the ability to be able to have the tools necessary to respond to those calls that are certainly out of the ordinary. But when you need the equipment, you need the equipment to be able to put yourself in an armored vehicle between the suspect and some downed citizens, some downed officers, to be able to effect a rescue. That seconds are life-saving. So to be able to get in there without waiting, to be able to have the tools necessary and rapidly deploy them. If we're waiting for some entity that's far away to be able to respond, this stuff, as you see all the time on TV, these active shooter situations often are over in seconds or minutes. To be able to mobilize, get the equipment there, and be able to do what needs to be done in a way that's as safe as possible, the 1033 program has given us tools that otherwise we wouldn't have had.
And I'd like to add, Art Acevedo from Houston, that without this equipment, you know, we learned in Katrina that if you're going to wait for the federal government to come and save you, you're going to be waiting for a while. And so the more that we can equip our local agencies to be prepared for all threats, whether it's by nature or the next multi-shooter incident that you might have from a homegrown extremist, a sovereign citizen, or an overseas radicalized person, the better off we're going to be. Again, our high water vehicles, when you know, Houston is basically at sea level, and when those rains come in, we deploy these vehicles that some people again think about Iraq, but there's no offensive capability with 99% of the equipment that we're talking about. It's all equipment that helps us just conduct our everyday mission of keeping Americans safe.
And I would just like to add, for those departments that are kind of strapped financially, being able to get this equipment at a lower cost is advantageous to us because they try to get some of the equipment from the private sector is extremely costly and it's cost prohibitive for us. So it is a valuable tool or resource for us.
Well, you know, I'm not sure that there's another occupation out there where someone is expected to make correct, split-second, sometimes life and death decisions while navigating complicated laws and procedures, in the process laying his or her life on the line for total strangers for relatively little compensation, and where every aspect of those actions draws public scrutiny and in some cases criticism from sectors of the public or the courts. That's what your folks do every day. I hope that there is a special place in heaven for folks like that. And again, I think every week should be Police Week. So I appreciate y'all being here today. Please communicate that to the brave men and women that work with you, and I'll yield back.
Gentlemen.